Spencer Chaplin, April 16, 1889, December 25, 1977, was an English comic actor, filmmaker, and composer who rose to fame in the era of silent film. He became a worldwide icon through his screen persona, the Tramp, and is considered one of the film industry's most important figures. His career spanned more than 75 years, from childhood in the Victorian era until a year before his death in 1977, and encompassed both adulation and controversy. Chaplin's childhood in London was one of poverty and hardship. He had a tough childhood, but at the same time his childhood was the beginning of his artistic career. Once upon a time, his mother stopped singing on stage because she was ill and her voice stopped. The crowd got very angry and started throwing shoes at her and calling me in the worst words. 5-year-old Charlie had to take his mother's place and continue singing, and the audience liked it. They expressed their great admiration for his personality and quick wit, so they started throwing coins at him as an expression of their admiration. This was the first time he could make money himself, although his voice was not beautiful, but the audience finds this funny. Charlie realized that people like to make them laugh. He also realized that his difficult financial condition might make the audience laugh and he could earn money from it. Chaplin began performing at an early age, touring music halls and later working as a stage actor and comedian. In truth, Chaplin did not always portray a tramp. In many of his films his character was employed as a waiter, store clerk, stagehand, fireman, and the like. His character might be better described as the quintessential misfit, shunned by polite society. Unlucky in love, jack of all trades but master of none. He was also a survivor, forever leaving past sorrows behind, jauntily shuffling off to new adventures. The Tramp's appeal was universal. Audiences loved his cheekiness, his deflation of pomposity, his casual savagery, his unexpected gallantry, and his resilience in the face of adversity. Some historians have traced the Tramp's origins to Chaplin's Dickensian childhood. After making just 3 movies over a 10-year period, Chaplin would take 7 more years before his next film. Problems in his personal life were again partly to blame. In 1942 he and Goddard divorced, despite likely never having officially married. In 1943 a paternity suit was brought against him by young would-be actress Joan Barry. That same year he married 18-year-old Una O'Neill, daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill. Again he was accused of cradle robbing. In the Barry suit the courts ruled against Chaplin in 1944. He was named the father of Barry's child. Although he was cleared of the more serious charges of violating the Mann Act, which prohibited interstate transportation of women for immoral purposes. The book The Story of My Life by Charlie Chaplin and translated by Camille Dogger indicates that it was stated by Chaplin, "Women never aroused my interest during my work, but only between 2 films. When I am completely unemployed, then I am liable to fall into their nets." In America, Chaplin knew many women, in addition to the fact that he married 3 failed marriages, which soon ended in divorce. As for his 4th marriage, he is in his 50s, to a girl who did not exceed 18. Charlie Chaplin's polygamy was not pathological, but his attraction to teenage marriages seems to be due to his attraction to his mother's young image. He married 4 times in his life, the first of which was associated with movie star Mildred Harris, who was 18 years old. This marriage brought against Chaplin anger and discontent with him from American society due to the young age of his wife. In addition to the absence of the maturity factor in her personality, it caused the failure of their relationship, which Chaplin recounted some of its details in a comical, sarcastic, funny way. "Is this the girl I wanted? I was in trouble. Although I was not in love, I really wanted to be in love and we got married. I wanted our marriage to work. But for Mildred marriage was an adventure. She had no sense of reality. She did not hear a single word of what I said to her." He also adds, commenting, "What really irritated me the most was her constant approval of my words, and then doing the exact opposite." After this failed experience, Chaplin embarked on another adventure, tying his marriage to the movie actress Lolita McMurray, known by her stage title Lita Gray, 16 years old. His marriage lasted 2 years and he had 2 children. They separated, and their divorce led to many problems, mutual accusations, and fierce attacks from the press. The event also further disturbed Chaplin's relationship with the Americans, which threatened, during it, his image as a star. His second wife recounted the details of their marriage in her memoirs published in his name. As for the third time that Chaplin married, it was with the movie star, Paulette Goddard, who was attached to her with love and adoration, because she shared with him then most of his rebelliousness and madness. Especially in the moments when his loneliness intensified and his psyche was dominated by a deep sense of isolation, boredom and gloom. Chaplin's talk about her was good on the whole. He also said that she was fun and entertaining, and the bond between her and me was loneliness. We had a busy schedule during the week. I still missed work so bad. With Paulette I did everything. I go to horse racing, nightclubs, parties, all to kill time. I had no desire to be alone or to think. But a year after their marriage, the gap between them widened, and Chaplin attributed this to a sense of anxiety and tension. Joan Barry was the owner of the biggest scandal for Charlie Chaplin, as they met in May 1941, and she signed a contract with him to work as an actress. Their relationship began until 1942, but the following year, after Chaplin ended his relationship with her to marry Ona O'Neill, she sued him as the father of the child he bore. Charlie Chaplin, at the age of 53, met the love of his life, Una O'Neill, who was 17 years old. Her parents refused this marriage until she was 18 years old, and already on her next birthday, he had married her, and they lived together for about 34 years, from 1943 AD until his death in 1977 AD. It was a wonderful marriage and they had 8 children. And they lived happily together. History testifies that the world at that time was going through difficult times, as the First World War broke out, and then the Second World War. But Charlie manages to counteract all this misery with comedy. His darkest comedy, Monsieur Verdoux, was released in 1947, and by then Chaplin was in the headlines again, as possibly being called before the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, to testify about his relations with communists. The media accused him of being a Russian agent for 10 consecutive years. The United States government considered him an enemy. In 1952, his movie Limelight was released, but the American government prevented it from showing it on its soil, and this decision was shocking to him. Because he was very attached to the United States of America, he married his first wife, Una, there. But the estrangement between him and the United States of America increased, and this affected him a lot, so he and his wife decided to leave and return to Britain. But he did not receive much interest, so he decided to go to Switzerland and settle there. Charlie Chaplin was in love with the founder of India, Mahatma Gandhi, and for this reason he remained attached to Indian politicians. During his stay in Switzerland, he met Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and his daughter, Indira Gandhi, and told him of his great admiration for the personality of Mahatma Gandhi. Charlie met the famous physicist Albert Einstein, who was so impressed by his work that he wondered how everyone understood his point. Although he didn't say a word, Charlie replied that it was really strange. But the strangest thing is that Einstein writes lengthy theories, and people love and respect him because of that, even though they do not understand anything from his writings. In his last years Chaplin was accorded many of the honors that had been withheld from him for so long. In 1972 he returned to the United States for the first time in 20 years to accept a special Academy Award for the incalculable effect he has had on making motion pictures the art form of this century. Charlie died on December 25 in 1977 and was buried in Switzerland. 3 months after his death, his body was stolen from the grave. After the investigations, the 2 thieves were identified, and after 5 weeks they were arrested, and this is because they demanded a large financial ransom in exchange for returning the body.